What's going on, everybody? This is DK Dynamite for a crazy video here for you guys this morning. We're going to go through a sneak peek of Vanguard Season 1, some content that accidentally released early, and even some other surprise discoveries. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And by the way, you can win money while playing Warzone over at Players Lounge. Perfect timing for the release of Caldera. To get a head start, you can get $25 for free when you sign up using the link in this video's description. There's plenty more games on there other than Warzone as well. You can play solo or with your friends, and it has instant payouts with their automated scoring plus anti-cheat system. They've already gotten huge investment backing from Samsung, Comcast, Drake, and even more. Once again, all the information is down below and even as a pinned comment. Now, in case you guys also weren't aware, the preload for Season 1 of Vanguard is officially out for all platforms, and once you do install the update itself, you will get a brand new main menu and a bit of background updates for multiplayer and even zombies. Now, what is a bit sad is that the zombies menu is exactly the same as multiplayer. They didn't add any runes or any like zombified elements like we saw in Cold War, where the zombies menu in that game was a bit of a variation of the multiplayer one with some undead atmospheres included within it. So unfortunately, it's just a bit of a copy paste. New skins have also appeared over in the operator menu for each of our fan favorite characters. We also have a sneak peek at the CDL skins we're going to be getting this year and the exclusive team packs, which I think do look pretty nice. Maybe not as nice as the ones in Cold War, but I'm sure they will get better over time and better skins will end up being released. Now, they've also revealed the Save Custom Blueprint feature, which wasn't available at launch and is now available with the start of Season 1. This is similar to Black Ops Cold War season, where even before the start of the season itself, whenever the preload gets installed, a couple of features do become available instantly, even before the main content goes live for everybody out there. So I think it's a cool thing where you get a bit of a taste and a bit of a sneak peek at some of the smaller features of the season before all the main maps and modes do drop for everybody out there. But before we continue with a sneak peek of Vanguard Season 1, let's go ahead and thank the sponsor of today's video. Now, tonight's video is sponsored by Filmora 10. A lot of you do ask me how to get into YouTube, how to start editing, and what tips I have for you guys, but I think this is honestly the best place to start. Wondershare Filmora is an easy-to-use video editing software with powerful tools. Everyone can start with Filmora rather quickly without any editing skills whatsoever. The advantage of Filmora is that people don't need to spend much time learning how to use some of these features. There are a ton of built-in templates such as text, overlays, filters, and more to help edit videos a lot faster. Wondershare Filmora is more budget-friendly compared to other editing programs like Premiere, Final Cut Pro, etc. There are a plethora of features this software has to offer, such as the AI Portrait add-on, which automatically removes backgrounds from video content without using a green screen or a chroma key. That's amazing. We also have Auto Reframe. Recreate the same video in different aspect ratios in an instant. Perfect for multiple social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube Shorts, TikToks, the works. The focal point can be manually adjusted to be consistent in every frame. There's also AR stickers, which add fun and unique stickers that respond to your face's motion by simply clicking and dragging the sticker on the timeline. We also have audio effects, where you can apply special audio effects to video clips, including effects like echo, reverb, and even a telephone. We also have film stock effects library integration, where you can search and browse more than 20,000 effects on film stock without leaving Filmora. But if this program sounds like something you're interested in, you can download it with the link in this video's description or the pinned comment, and why not give it a review in the App Store while you're at it? Would really appreciate that, but thank you to Filmora 10 for sponsoring tonight's video. Now back to the video, the embargo should be lifting in the next hour or two for early Caldera gameplay. Within the last couple of days, hundreds, and I mean hundreds of creators, members of the press, did get virtually flown out by Activision to play the new Warzone Pacific updates, and that's great for them. So they'll be posting plenty of early gameplay of the map itself, and I'm sure your sub boxes are going to be absolutely flooded today, even though it's a good 24 hours before the actual launch of the map. YouTube is about to be crazy, but here are the exact times on screen as to when everything is happening. Once again, early gameplay be presented all throughout today for Caldera, and then tomorrow, if you own Vanguard and have played at least a full match of the multiplayer or the zombies, you'll get instant access to the new Warzone Pacific update. If you don't own Vanguard, then starting on Thursday the 9th, you'll be able to play Caldera for absolutely free. But don't forget, tomorrow when Caldera does go live early for Vanguard owners is also when all the other multiplayer and zombies content should become public. And I know, I'm aware, some content for multiplayer and zombies is already accessible to all of us out there. We'll talk more about that deeper into this video. I'm not sure if that was a mistake or not, or if they said, you know what, screw it, let's just drop it early, because why not? Now here's everything that's going to be releasing in the next 24 hours for Season 1. This includes multiplayer, Warzone, and zombies. We of course have Caldera, all 40 weapons ported into Warzone Pacific, New Gulag, Rebirth Island I believe is going to be going away, but should come back within a week, that's still a bit unclear. We then have Vanguard Resurgence, Vanguard Royale, the fighter plane, squad vehicle, cargo truck, new public events, and even new contracts. So there's nothing on the Warzone side of the roadmap that's for in-season. I'm sure there could be a couple of surprises we end up getting in Season 1 Reloaded, but for multiplayer, we're getting Paradise and Radar right away at launch. The new mode Control over in multiplayer, which is cool. New perks, plus a lethal, which we'll talk more about deeper in the video. And then for zombies, we're gonna have the Purge objective, new covenants, new weapons, new challenges, and that's gonna be it for now. But we are getting the Ricochet anti-cheat for Warzone on the PC, and then it'll be releasing for Vanguard multiplayer later in Season 1. We then have the operators Francis and Lewis, the weapons known as the Cooper Carbine, Sawtooth Katana, and the Gorenko anti-tank sniper rifle. Once again, apologies for how my voice sounds. I'm currently losing my voice after the long streams that we did over the past few days, so I do apologize if I sound a little bit different from usual here in this commentary. But the rest of the things I didn't mention from the roadmap will be dropping later in season, whether that's a random update over the next couple of weeks or a Season 1 Reloaded DLC update, which I'm sure we are going to get at some point, I think in mid-January. But PlayStation Plus members will then get an exclusive combat pack with Vanguard and Warzone Season 1 that includes a skin for Lucas Riggs, the legendary Blue Glitch shotgun weapon blueprint. We also have the Mermaid Scale melee blueprint, an emblem watch sticker calling card, and a 60-minute double XP token. Now, we're all aware that the Sony and Activision contract has certainly been shortened a bit with Vanguard's life cycle in comparison to previous CODs, where there was a lot more DLC locked behind exclusivity. I'm sure they'll limit it to just some of these combat packs throughout the upcoming season, and nothing more than that. Now, we then have the Skull Collector Pro Pack, which will cost $20, not 2,400 COD points, but actual dollars, and depending on your currency, it might be a little bit more, but it's the same system as the Cold War Pro Packs, where it'll then reimburse you, but in the equivalent of COD points, meaning if you spend $20 on this Pro Pack, it'll then give you 2,400 COD points in your account as well. So that's $40 of value for the price of 20. This will come with the operator skin itself. We then have two legendary blueprints, one for a sniper and then one for an AR, and they're a little basic looking, but you get the point. We have an animated calling card there, an epic calling card, a legendary MVP highlight, a watch, and then of course the COD points. Don't forget about that. So yeah, if you want to pick this one up and then buy another bundle that comes out later that costs $2,400, you can get two bundles for essentially just the price of one, like I said. But now what I'm sure you've all been waiting for is some early gameplay of the new multiplayer map Radar, a Pacific reimagining of the fan favorite map from Modern Warfare 3 known as Dome. And don't forget, Sledgehammer did make Modern Warfare 3 alongside Infinity Ward. There was some big controversy back in 2011 and even the years before that, where the original Infinity Ward studio that made Modern Warfare 2 ended up suing Activision for a number of reasons. You can look up the story online, and because of all those issues going on, a lot of developers left the studio, which then forced Activision to say, alright, let's go ahead and hire another studio to help Infinity Ward, or what's left of the studio, to finish Modern Warfare 3, and that's why we got the game that we did. And yes, Sledgehammer played a helping hand in that game, so I guess it's fair to bring back any maps they want from that game as well. It's a nice specific twist. I mean, I know Terminal was previously rumored to be releasing in Vanguard, but I think this map will do. It does play pretty well from what I have tried of it. There are destructible environments, and I think the layout is pretty cool. I mean, I like the fact that since Season 1 is themed all around Caldera, we are getting Pacific-themed multiplayer maps, but I hope that they'll keep that to just this season and don't repeat that with all future seasons. We'll talk more about that later. And I still remember Dome's layout like the back of my hand. I mean, I haven't played it in many years, but I know there was a reimagining of it over in Call of Duty Ghost. That was probably the last time I played Dome or anything close to it, so I'm surprised I still remember the layout here in the Vanguard reimagining. Now, I do have to give Sledgehammer credit, right? I mean, aside from Shipment, which does play a bit weird, I'm not a big fan of it, they did bring back some fan favorites or just some classics without totally butchering them, right? You know, Castle and Dome from World at War, those are Treyarch maps. They did them justice, and here with Dome from Modern Warfare 3, I definitely think, considering the crazy reimagining with the setting, they still managed to keep it fairly faithful. They didn't add too many safe spaces, didn't really change the layout too much, and it still plays relatively similar. Let me know if you guys agree, if you have played the map already. But you guys have also been watching some gameplay of the two new DLC weapons, first the Cooper Carbine AR, and then the anti-tank sniper rifle, both of which are really fun here in this game. I want to say the AR definitely packs a punch, no pun intended. Obviously, it'll be a lot better with attachments, and these are just the default loadouts with them, so I'm sure they'll play a little bit differently once you do max these bad boys out. But I have to say, I'm not much of a sniper and never really have been. I'm pretty pretty good with one, you know, not to toot my own horn. I'm not terrible with snipers, but this one in particular, I'm definitely digging. I mean, like I said, I'm not much of a sniper, but I really enjoyed using this one, and that's coming from, you know, a non-sniper sweat. I wasn't running dual diamond classes in Cold War multiplayer, even though it was really easy to do so, and I really recommend trying this out. I think all the pro snipers are gonna love this one, but we'll just have to wait and see how people react to it once they do officially launch in the next, 18 hours from now. And I think it's hilarious how even on recruit bots, it still feels like the TTK is a bit crazy. I mean, the fact I'll get one tapped almost across the map by some of these bots is insane. Maybe the bots are just a bit too sophisticated, a bit too smart, or maybe the TTK really is an issue that hopefully gets addressed at some point in the future, although I've lost hope in a change like that. I just feel like I'm playing hardcore when I play this multiplayer, and I do like the maps, I like a lot of the weapons, I like the philosophy of what they're going for with the combat pacing, but I don't know, even on bots, I'm feeling like the TTK is just a bit unbalanced. Let me know if you're still feeling that way down below in the comments. I mean, I personally preferred, you know, World War II, even Black Ops 4, and especially Cold War's TTK. I mean, Modern Warfare 2019 also was frustrating, but this game feels like it takes it up another notch on top of Modern Warfare, which is just a bit too fast. We then have the new multiplayer map known as Paradise. Now, what's interesting about this one is it seems to be a part of Caldera that just got ripped and ported into multiplayer. Now, Shipment and the Dome remake called Radar, they seem to be taking place in the same environment, but don't feel like they're ripped from the Warzone Pacific map. And maybe this area is in Caldera, we just don't know yet. I don't think it is, but I just hope they don't do this in every season where they just take an area from Caldera to put it into multiplayer. It could work. I mean, if anything, that's really just taking pointers from Infinity Ward, where they did that in a number of seasons, where they just took an area from Verdansk, turned it into a ground war map or a 6v6 map, and it's okay to do that once or twice, but that gets really repetitive if they do that every single season. And I think the issue is that with the two new maps of Season 1, I think there's going to be a third one in Season 1 Reloaded, who knows what that is, but for the first two, since they are technically taking place in the Pacific near Caldera, they have very similar environments. They don't really feel too different from one another, even though one is a dome reimagining, so you could feel the difference when you're playing, if you remember the old map. But, you know, Treyarch never did this with Fireteam, which is interesting. I know Fireteam probably didn't have the best player count, but they never took an area from Ruka or Duga and then turned that into a 6v6 map. I'm surprised they didn't do that. I thought they would have. I mean, I wanted it to happen with, you know, a part of Duga, which was Grid Remastered from BO1. That would have been great, but that was just an opportunity they just never went down with. So I'm curious if they're just gonna, you know, follow Infinity Ward's footsteps all throughout this game's life cycle and do the opposite of what Treyarch did. Now, this map definitely feels a bit too big. There are some cool destructible environments. The level designing is cool and whatnot, but this definitely feels like a sniper's wet dream. I've never really been a fan of bigger maps. That's probably why I didn't play much of Combined Arms in Cold War, but I think I played a lot of Fireteam in Cold War because, I don't know, the objective, Dirty Bomb, was a ton of fun. The LTMs were great. I mean, some were better than others. And then you had, you know, Fireteam Elimination, which was like Blackout 2.0. I enjoyed that, but something like Combined Arms or some of the, you know, more populated game modes here in Vanguard, I don't know, I just don't vibe to them that well, and maybe I'll warm up to them more later, but this map's okay. I mean, it's certainly bigger than Dome, and I think some of you guys might like this one, but for me, it's just, it's one of those that I probably skip whenever I see it in the public matchmaking lobby. Now, we were also reminded that Mastercrafts are indeed going to return during Vanguard's life cycle, and I'm really not surprised about that. I mean, I would have been surprised if they didn't return, because look how well they probably sold over in Black Ops Cold War, and even during Black Ops 4. There weren't really anything too out of the ordinary in Modern Warfare 2019. I think everything was fairly basic. There weren't really any bundles that were like, wow, that's something that, you know, really stands out. Everything was, you know, fairly grounded and built around realism, whereas Vanguard, I think, is going to be a bit more goofy, like Cold War with the cosmetic. Activision probably wants it to be that way to compete with some of the bigger games like Fortnite, so let's see when they end up dropping some of their first Mastercrafts. I'd assume at least one is going to drop during Season 1 Reloaded, but you can clearly tell with this game that was made in, what, a year and a half, they didn't have quite enough time to get everything done the way they wanted to, but still managed to pump out quite a bit of content at launch for multiplayer, which is impressive, but you can definitely tell they're lacking in a number of other areas, which I think a lot of us are going to notice over the next couple of weeks. We also have some gameplay of the new melee weapons, a part of Season 1, the Katana and the Sawtooth. And I've never really been much of a melee weapon user in COD multiplayer. I think the most I ever used them was Black Black Ops 3 multiplayer. There were so many of them in that game. I think, if anything, there were the most amount in that game out of any Call of Duty. So I certainly used as many as I could whenever I got them from supply drops, and I was more inclined to do so considering they were so rare to get, or some of them were more rare than others, to the point where you felt more rewarded when you got them. Whereas in like Cold War, there were quite a few melee weapons, but you can get them all for free. So it's kind of like, yeah, they're just sitting there anytime I want to use them, and I just never really did. There's a couple that I did here and there, but I'm usually always using particular weapons, sweating, going for nukes, to where I'm like, why would I run a melee weapon as a secondary? There's really, no reason to do that. But the fact you can't inspect yet in this game also has me scratching my head. I'm like, wait a second, you can't inspect the melees, which is always a cool thing to do in some of the older games. So we'll see when they bring that feature back. It didn't come until Season 5 of Modern Warfare, which is ridiculous. It was at launch during Cold War, and you would think they want to get that feature out as soon as possible, because if they wait, an extra couple of seasons, they'd have to add the feature to so many more weapons, whereas if you do it at launch, there's not that many weapons, and then every time DLC ones come out, they just have to add that feature to a couple here and there. So I'm not sure what they're doing with that, but they're cool to use here in this game. I think the Katana is actually available to unlock right now for free, but the Sawtooth is not. It's only available in local play. Now, I think one of my favorite parts of the Cold War DLC season was the addition of DLC score streaks. I think that really adds replayability each season, something new to go for, something new to add to your arsenal. It could change the way you go for nukes. I really love that. But here with Vanguard's DLC cycle, they are adding some innovation to how the post-launch season works. We're getting free perks and equipment as tiers in the Battle Pass. And yes, they're free. You don't have to buy the Battle Pass to unlock these tiers, which is good, just like the DLC weapons from previous games. We have Serpentine at tier 21, where sprinting reduces incoming damage. Definitely a cool sounding perk. We then have Intuition at tier 44. Your vision pulses when enemies are nearby, even through walls. Now this one's funny because it just sounds like it's a recipe for disaster. I mean, there's already cheaters in the game, especially if you're on PC and especially if you're running crossplay on Warzone. So this perk doesn't sound like it's going to end well, and I'm assuming it's going to get nerfed a couple of times. I'm just predicting a bit of community backlash to how this perk works. And I think it's just little things like this every now and again throughout a Call of Duty cycle, where one perk, one feature, one weapon could really put a sour taste in people's mouths to the point where they want to stop playing the multiplayer altogether. I mean, it feels like the Marshals were like that for Cold War multiplayer Season 5, but I think some of the, dual-wield shotguns in Vanguard at launch and some other features were definitely as frustrating, if not more. So I'm hoping they don't add anything too stupid to where it's controversial like that. But we then have a special incendiary grenade at tier 18. Obscures an area in a white fog and burns those who come close. Kind of like white phosphorus from Modern Warfare 2019 in a way. And this sounds OP. The gameplay that exists of this so far, which anybody can get, makes this seem a bit unbalanced. So I'm sure they'll end up, nerfing this every now and again whenever needed. And hopefully if anything is broken during the launch of Season 1, we get a fix for all of that, within the next day or two. Would not want to go a whole season with something that's as frustrating as like this gas that just insta-kills you. But when it comes to the Battle Pass, we got a pretty cool sneak peek at the 100 tiers we're going to be seeing. I have to say, a lot of these tiers do look fairly average, but considering Sledgehammer is probably behind on a number of fronts with the development of this game, and especially the post-launch season, I will cut them some slack for Season 1, but I would hope to see some dramatic improvements for future seasons. And yeah, some of these operator skins are cool. I'm just not on board with the fact that so many of these skins are just color palette swaps, whereas in Cold War, even with the Battle Pass skins and some of the least expensive bundles, you'll still see some interesting variety and creativity with a lot of the skins that aren't just color palette swaps. And yeah, I get it. Even in Modern Warfare, even in Cold War, there's a lot of color palette swap skins that are just, there as easy filler content. I'm fully aware of that. I'm not defending that, that was in Cold War, but it's in Vanguard. I really understand, trust me. There has to be that filler content every now and again, but none of these really stand out. I mean, I'm just not really on board with it all too much. I mean, there's some decent looking stuff, like I said, but the tier 100 skin is definitely a step in the right direction. Can't complain about this one. It's okay looking. Blue is my color, so anytime I see something blue in a Battle Pass or in a bundle, I'm like, ooh, I'm kind of inclined to try that out, whether it's a blueprint or an operator skin. And this one's orange, so I'm like, it's alright looking, but, certainly nothing compared to a lot of the really cool looking skins we got in, tier 100 of some Cold War battle passes, and I'm sure this will all improve, you know, with time, but it's all about those first impressions, right? You want to make sure that Season 1 of a COD cycle really, you know, keeps the community engaged and, you know, kind of sets the precedent and the bar for high quality content. You don't want to have like a lame Season 1 and then, you know, expect people to care at Season 4 when you finally bring out some cool content. That's what I hope doesn't happen with Vanguard, but it certainly could happen considering the rough circumstances behind the scenes with Sledgehammer Games. Now, we also have quite a bit to talk about when it comes to zombies. I'll be doing that in a separate video since this video is already way too long, so stay tuned for that, which I'll probably end up posting at some point tonight. I'll also be compiling all of the bundles to expect in Season 1, because there are quite a few that are completely separate from the Season 1 Battle Pass, so be on the lookout for that content. Really hope you've enjoyed. This has been DK Dynamite. Leave all your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the sneak peek here for our new multiplayer maps, our weapons, and some other content that should be dropping in the next, 17 hours from now? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.